Hey everybody, come on in. I'm back again. I had to take a little rest from the 4th of July, but you better know I'm back right again because I got to do Sunday dinner. So what I'm going to have for Sunday dinner is going to be some fresh frozen lima beans that I'm going to cook up, show you how to cook up. And what you hear searing over there is some stew beef. We're going to get to that in a minute. But I've got 6 cups of water in my red pot over here. Some of that ham meat from a ham that I cooked earlier. And in this pan, I've measured out 2.5 pounds of fresh frozen baby lima beans. So all I'm going to do is just pour them on into the pot and get them boiling. Just get them stirred up in there. And sometimes you can look as you're cooking lima beans because they tend to dry up pretty quick. You may have to add some additional water to them, but I'm starting out with 6 cups of water. Got my ham meat going in there. And I'm going to add to that my 2 packs of sodium-free chicken broth mix that I showed you. So I'm just going to dump them right in there. And I'm also going to put 1 stick of butter in there. No measuring for that, just dump it right in there. And then I'm going to put a teaspoon of black pepper in there to add some flavor to them. Lima beans, butter beans, and beans like that, they are really, really good with some nice black pepper going on in them. So basically that's it for the lima beans. 6 cups of water, 2.5 pounds of fresh frozen baby lima beans, some ham meat, and a couple packs of that dry chicken broth seasoning. I'm just going to dump the rest of that in there. So all you gotta do is stir them a little bit, put the lid on them, and I'll let mine, because I like that gravy in those lima beans nice and thick, that juice, because after a while you're gonna eat that with some cornbread, even when the beans are all gone. It's good with just the cornbread. So we're just gonna let that cook for a little while, put the lid on there, and we're just gonna let it cook. Now I'm gonna move on over here to the main entree. This is some boneless beef back ribs, and what you do is you use it just like you do stew beef. So first thing you have to do is cut them into pieces because they come in long strips. I cut them into the smaller pieces, and then I salted and peppered them to taste. Then I floured them, just battered them with some regular flour, put some oil in my pan, and what this process here is to brown them on both sides, just like you would a roast or any other stew beef, to sort of get that meat seared and lock some flavor in there, and helps with the browning of the gravy and so forth. Basically that's it. A real simple, real tasty meal. So this is what they're going to look like when I take them all out. I've already seared and sealed that flavor in. So what I'm going to continue on over here is just continue to let these cook a little bit. Probably takes 5 minutes to do this process. And once we get them going pretty good and get them all mixed together, I'm going to add to that 2 cups of chopped onions, bell pepper, and celery. I've used 1 large onion, a half of a medium bell pepper, and a stalk of celery. And that's going to be some added flavor. When all this meat gets browned up, I'm just going to dump it all in. So when I get to that stage, I'll show you what it looks like. And I've mixed over here 1 packet of that Lipton onion soup mix. I mixed it with 2 cups of water. I'm going to be pouring that in there because that's going to give it the juice. And then I'm just going to run it through the oven. I actually let this stuff cook for about 3 hours because I want it nice and tender, because I'm going to serve it over rice. Of course, there's my rice back there, already done. And we're going to have it with the lima beans. And I'll probably do some corn muffins or something like that to add to it. But for right now, I'm going to say toodaloo for a couple seconds. And we're going to come back in a few minutes. Okay, so we're back. I've got everything going in that pot of stew. You can just call it beef stew beef, however you want to call it. This could be a chuck roast in there. It could be some cube stew beef. It could be some back ribs or whatever you want to put. The meat that I chose is boneless back ribs that I've cut into pieces. I've seasoned them with salt and pepper, and then put flour on them, and then I put some oil, just a little bit of oil in the bottom of this roasting pan here, and I seared that flavor in and went ahead on and kind of browned them a little bit just for color and for flavor. And what I'm going to do is run them through the oven for about 3 hours, and they're going to cook at about 350 degrees. I also use that Lipton onion soup mix, to which I added 2 cups of water, a tablespoon of black pepper, and a half a tablespoon of salt. And I just mix that all together and then just pour it right in the pan on top of that. So I'm going to cover this Dutch oven pot. I'm going to run it into the oven for 3 hours on 350 degrees. And you know, this same meal here could be cooked in a crock pot as well. For those of you who use a crock pot, the recipe is one and the same. I have no clue. I think I probably have never made a meal in a crock pot. I always cook on top of the stove or in the oven. I've got a huge crock pot, but I just never have used it. But you can do the same thing. The seasoning is all the same. Just put it all together and run it through the oven. And of course, when you are searing that meat, it does not have to be cooked all the way through, just enough to sear it a little bit so it gets a little bit brown on that flour. And what the flour does, it helps to make a gravy. Now, I may have to thicken a little bit more once I take it out of the oven, and that's perfectly okay. But for the most part, I'll have my gravy and my meat and the veggies all in there, and they'll come out ready to put over the rice, and we're going to serve it up with the lima beans. When it gets closer to being done, I'll show you what it looks like. Let's peep in there and see what those limas are doing. See? They're cooking pretty good. Look at that butter sitting on top of them. When those things get done and that thick gravy forms on top, it's going to be some good eating with some cornbread sitting right on top of it. So we're going to sign off for now and let this food cook, because this is Sunday dinner. And you know what we're fixing it for. We're fixing it so when the people come in on the flavor train, they'll have a good meal. So we'll see you in a little while. Toodaloo. Okay, everybody, it's all done. There's the lima beans, the corn muffins, good old corn on the cob that I threw in there, some nice white fluffy rice, and those boneless back ribs all cooked up into that gravy, ready to go over that rice. And we get ready in a few minutes to just sit down, relax, and enjoy. I'm gonna get started with it because I hear the flavor train pulling into the station, so I gotta get moving with this because I don't want them to get in here and the food not on the line. So I hear the flavor train coming, y'all. It's coming. Chug, 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 chug. It's coming. They're ready to eat, y'all. So hope you all will enjoy trying some of these recipes. All very simple, very good, very nourishing, and heartwarming. This is soul food, y'all. This is food for the soul today. So hope you're having a nice, relaxing Sunday afternoon as I am. We're going to sit back as usual after we get on that flavor train and know one thing: it is all about the flavor, the love, and the caring when you prepare a meal for Sunday dinner. We thank y'all for tuning in. So the next time you see this meal, it'll be all over on the flavor train. Stay tuned.